The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on playlist, a link is given in the video description. Episode 2. Chapter 13. When she came out of the Wilson group, Claire was extremely excited. Tomorrow Grandma will officially announce her new appointment, and she can finally be proud of it. Thinking of this, she couldn't help saying to Charlie, "Charlie, thank you. If it weren't for your encouragement, I wouldn't dare to take this task." Charlie smiled and said, "My wife, you deserve it." After speaking, Charlie said again, "By the way, my wife, do you want to celebrate such a big event?" Claire nodded. "How do you want to celebrate?" Charlie smiled and said, "It just so happens that the anniversary of our 3rd wedding year is coming soon, let's celebrate together. I'll make preparations, you don't have to worry about it." Claire asked in surprise, "Are you trying to surprise me?" "Yes." Charlie nodded and smiled, "I just want to prepare a surprise for you." Claire felt a little sweet in her heart, and said, "Then I won't ask you exactly what it is." Charlie said, "Don't ask, just wait." In order to prepare a special wedding anniversary for his wife, Charlie thought of many plans. The whole is mainly based on compensation. After all, he used to be poor and didn't have the money to buy gifts for his wife, and he didn't even give his wife a formal wedding. Now that he has money, he must compensate her well. After splitting up with his wife, Charlie went to a jewelry shop named Rare Earth in the center of Oris Hill City by himself. Rare Earth is the most famous jewelry store in the region. Gold, platinum, diamonds, and jade, it can be said to have everything. Charlie wanted to buy a gift for his wife first, and then go to the best hotel to book a late wedding. After arriving at Rare Earth, the shopping guides saw him wearing a 4-bar Adidas, and they didn't bother to pay attention to him. Charlie looked around for a long time, and saw a jade necklace locked in a cabinet. The material of this necklace is the top ice jade, exquisite atmosphere, very in line with Claire's temperament. Charlie looked at the price, 13 million, which was trivial to him. So he called a salesperson and said, "Hello, please take this necklace out and let me have a look." The other party glanced at Charlie and said, "I don't have the key, it is in our manager's hands." After speaking, he used the walkie-talkie to say, "Manager Jane, someone wants to see our treasure of the town shop." Soon, a very enchanting woman trot over excitedly. Her name was Jane, the sales manager here. "Which distinguished guest wants to see the treasure of the town shop?" The salesman pointed to Charlie and said, "Manager Jane, this is the gentleman." "Hey!" When Jane saw Charlie, she was as sick as a fly. How can this kind of filthy rug afford the treasure of the town shop? Thinking of this, she immediately said to the male shopping guide, "Lou, are you kidding me?" The other party said, "No, this gentleman really wants to see the treasure of the town shop." Jane scolded, "Can this kind of filthy rug afford the treasure of the town shop? Are you blind? If you are blind, just say it and I will rid of you soon." Jane prides herself on being extremely accurate. She can tell at a glance what kind of person and what kind of purchasing power one has. Therefore, she also judged at a glance that Charlie was a pauper and stinky rug. Not to mention the 13 million treasure of the town shop, even the ordinary necklace for 1,300s, he definitely can't afford it. This is not a waste of your feelings? The male shopping guide dared not speak out, so Charlie frowned and asked her, "You don't open the door to do business? I want to see this necklace." "What's the problem?" Jane sneered, "We open the door to do business, but don't do business with worthless people. If you can't afford it, don't join the fun." Charlie frowned and said, "With which eye do you see that I can't afford it?" "Ha ha!" Jane said disdainfully, "This jade is worth tens of millions. What do you buy?" "I know, don't you just want me to take a picture of you and send it to your circle of friends?" As she said, Jane wrapped her arms around her chest, with a high-pitched look, her face full of contempt. Hearing that this jade is worth tens of millions, many people around pointed and said with contempt, "This kind of person is really shameless. He can't afford it but want to have to look at it. What to look at when you can't buy it even in dreams? That's it, without looking at the identity, just that one dress, how can it be worthy of such a super jade? I tell you, there are too many of these fooling around now." Charlie glanced at Jane at the counter, and saw that the other party was sneering at him with a disdainful face. He had already made up his mind to teach this Pish, who is so low-minded. So Charlie took out his cell phone and dialed Stephen Thompson's number. "Come to Rare Earth, give me 13 million in cash. I want to see it in 10 minutes. "No problem, Master, I will come here." Jane curled her mouth and smiled, "I'm still addicted to acting. You have 13 million in cash. I have never seen so much cash in my life. I hope you can open my eyes. You don't know, more than for millions of cash, you need to make an appointment with the bank first?" "Ha ha ha, you are so funny." Charlie nodded and said, "Since you haven't seen so much cash, you will see it soon." The people around were all talking about it. "It's not a problem to be poor, the problem is not to swell your face to fill a fat man. Haha, this man doesn't look like a rich man at first sight. He is still talking about 13 million, and can give out 300,000. I call him my father. I just want to see what the 13 million cash looks like." Listening to everyone standing on her side, Jane couldn't help but smile. She couldn't see the cash after a while. Let's see how the poor ghost ended up. A few minutes later, at the entrance of Rare Earth, several Rolls-Royce suddenly stopped. Then, from the two front cars, 8 bodyguards in black suits descended. They were holding black leather suitcases in their hands, their muscles were tight, their faces were solemn, and they were all cold and murderous, and even the atmosphere around them was a little serious. This scene immediately shocked the entire Rare Earth. Where does this big man come from? There is such a pomp. Seeing such a big show, Jane was also shocked, thinking to herself that it was not really the person who was called by the poor ghost. But after another thought, how could it be possible? It is impossible for the poor ghost to know such a powerful character. Stephen Thompson got off the third Rolls-Royce and walked into Rare Earth. Jane quickly got up to greet him. But Stephen Thompson didn't even look at her, and went straight to Charlie. "Master, I am here and I have brought the money," Stephen Thompson said, waving his hand, and the bodyguard behind walked into Rare Earth, and directly put the box full of money on the ground and opened it. It's all densely packed with cash. The people around were so frightened that they gasped for air. This smelly filthy rug, oh no! What this person said is actually true. What kind of big man is he? Many people took out their phones to shoot videos one after another. They didn't want to miss such a shocking scene. However, Stephen Thompson's bodyguards cleared them all out immediately, and they could only photograph Charlie on the back of his head. Charlie pointed to the cash on the floor and asked Jane, "Have seen so much money? Have you seen it now?" Jane was frightened and nodded. "I see it, I see it." Charlie said to Stephen Thompson, "I want to see the manager of this store." Stephen Thompson nodded, took out his cell phone, and searched for a moment to call. As soon as the call was connected, he cursed directly into the phone, "Bad son, I am Stephen Thompson. I am at Rare Earth now. Give you 1 minute and get out of here immediately. Otherwise, I will make people burn this rare earth. Then let someone break your dog legs." Jane's face turned pale, and the expression in Stephen Thompson's eyes was full of fear. Is this person really so powerful? Own boss, but Oris Hill has a big man with a face, and he can eat well on the road, who can't give him some face? How can anyone dare to talk to him like this? Before a minute, a middle-aged fat man crawled out of the office behind him. As soon as he saw Stephen Thompson, he rushed forward and said, "Mr. Thompson, you come to my shop. Without saying a word in advance, I'd have come to meet you." Stephen Thompson directly slapped him in the face and furiously said, "You have a big shelf, and your clerk dares to neglect our young master. Are you tired of life?" Stephen Thompson knew that the young master had been wronged a lot in the past 10 years. At this time, seeing a clerk also gave him annoyance. The middle-aged fat man received a slap in the face, and he was a bit wronged at first, but when he heard this, he was shocked and lost his mind. The young master of Stephen Thompson? Stephen Thompson already exists like a real dragon, isn't his young master like a god in the hanging? His frightened legs kept trembling, and turned his head to see Charlie next to Stephen Thompson. Although he looked ordinary, he was the young master of Stephen Thompson's boss family. Thinking of this, the middle-aged fat man was even more apprehensive, and said quickly, "Master, I'm so sorry, I apologize to you." Then he turned his head, full of anger, and cursed, "Which thing that doesn't have eyesight offends the young master? Stand up for me." The eyes of other shopping guides instantly focused on Jane. Jane quickly wanted to shrink back. But the middle-aged fat man rushed up instantly, grabbed Jane by the collar, slapped her face with a blow, and cursed, "You are a BTCH not better than that. Even you dare to offend the master. You are really blind. Blind eyes." Jane was knocked to the ground by a slap. She said crying, "Boss, I'm sorry, I'm blind, please spare me this time." "Spare you?" The middle-aged fat man grabbed her hair and pulled her face up, hitting her face with a big fist. With one punch and another punch, her face was full of blood, drafted. "Do you want to kill me? You want to kill me? I kill you first." Jane's mouth full of teeth was broken several times, and the bridge of her nose she had just paid for was also broken. Her face was full of blood. She broke away crying and broke away from the middle-aged fat man. She knelt and crawled to Charlie's side, grabbed his leg, and cried, "Mr. Wade, I really know that I was wrong. I will never look down on people in the future, Please forgive me. Charlie said coldly, do it yourself. When the middle-aged fat man saw that she grabbed Charlie's leg, he was so scared that he ran over and slammed on her head, cursing, you can touch the young master's leg. I'll kill you. After this step, Jane suddenly became unconscious. The middle-aged fat man said to the security guard next to him, put this dog-eyed into the waste bin behind the shop. Okay, boss. The security guards did not dare to delay, and immediately took Jane, who was full of blood, and led her out. Charlie said to the middle-aged fat man expressionlessly, my wife likes that jade, please wrap it up for me. The middle-aged fat man nodded quickly and said, okay, I'll wrap it up for you. Charlie took out the premium card and said, swipe this card. After speaking, he said to Stephen Thompson, you can take the cash back. The middle-aged fat man hurriedly said, Mr. Wade, you like this jade, so I will give it to you as a little gift. Charlie said, I don't need you to do that. The middle-aged fat man said in a consensual way, Mr. Wade, treat it as a small little heart, please accept it. Stephen Thompson said to Charlie, Mr. Wade, since he intends to send you as a plea, please accept it, otherwise he won't even be able to sleep at night. Charlie hesitated for a moment, then nodded gently, okay, then I thank you. Seeing Charlie accepted the jade necklace, the fat man breathed a sigh of relief. If Charlie didn't accept this necklace, he was really afraid that Stephen Thompson would not let him go. With his strength, hooking his fingers could also make him wiped out. At this time, Stephen Thompson asked Charlie, Mr. Wade, do you want me to send you off? No. Charlie waved his hand and said, where is the back door? I'll go by myself. The onlookers really opened their eyes today. Several Rolls-Royces brought 13 million in cash just to buy a piece of jade. As a result, the boss of Rare Earth did not even dare to collect money. What is the origin of that very humble young man? Many people uploaded this video to the internet, and it became popular online. Netizens have called this mysterious person super rich second generation, overbearing president, God-level rich man, and even set off a search for God-level rich man activity, and countless people actively participated. But fortunately, when these people took the video, the man and his people were cleared out of the store surrounded by bodyguards, so the identity in their video was very vague and could not be used as a reference for finding someone. After leaving Rare Earth, Charlie did not go home immediately. He wanted to give his wife a full set of surprises on the day of wedding anniversary. This surprise is not just a jade necklace, he also wants to make up a romantic wedding for his wife. At the request of the Master Wilson, Charlie and Claire hurriedly obtained the marriage certificate, and the wedding was never held in time. The old master himself wanted to choose an auspicious day and hold a grand wedding, but soon after the two got the certificate, he was seriously ill and was admitted to the hospital, so the wedding was been delayed. Later, the old master left, and Charlie was not admired by anyone in the Wilson family, so the wedding was even more impossible. However, now that he has money, he must pay his wife a wedding. When he thought of holding a wedding, the first thing he thought of was the Hanging Garden of Shangri-La. Shangri-La Hotel is currently the best hotel in Oris Hill. The hotel occupies a large area, the decoration is very luxurious, and there is a large and high-end shopping mall inside. The Hanging Garden is on the highest level inside the mall. The reason why it is called the Hanging Garden is that it is built with crystal glass, and matched with high-end fresh flowers shipped by air from abroad. It looks like a sky garden suspended in the air. This is also the grandest and most luxurious banquet hall in Oris Hill. If a wedding is held here, it will cost at least several million. Charlie is rich now, a few million is nothing to him. As long as he can make his wife happy, it is more important than anything. So he came to Shangri-La Hotel and wanted to reserve the Hanging Garden on his wedding anniversary. However, Charlie did not know that Shangri-La Hotel adopted membership service. Whether it is eating, lodging, or holding a banquet here, you must have hotel membership. Moreover, the corresponding services are not available for different membership levels. Ordinary members can only eat in the lobby and stay in standard rooms. Silver members can eat in boxes and live in high-end luxury rooms. Gold members can eat in luxurious boxes and live in luxurious suites. Platinum members can eat in the Hanging Garden and live in top luxury suites. And the highest is the Diamond member. Only Diamond members are eligible to live in the presidential suite, and only Diamond members are eligible to hold the entire Hanging Garden for banquets. Moreover, members above the gold level cannot be processed with money, and they must have sufficient social status. Charlie came to Shangri-La Hotel, but before entering the door, he was stopped by several men in black. "Sorry sir, please show your membership card." Charlie's clothes all over his body are not worth 200, which is extremely dazzling when compared with those brightly dressed and luxurious guests. Charlie said hurriedly, "I want to find your account manager and talk about the reservation." The other party said coldly, "Sorry, you can't enter without a membership card." Charlie said, "Then can I apply for a membership card now?" The other party shook his head and said, "Sorry, the membership card must be processed through the introducer." Charlie frowned, saying that Shangri-La is too much trouble, right? When he didn't know what to do, he suddenly remembered that when he was arranged by Mr. Wilson to enter Oris Hill University to study with his wife as a senior, there was a college classmate named Sabrina Lee who seemed to be at work. So he immediately took out his mobile phone and called Sabrina. After explaining the situation that he wanted to apply for the card, Sabrina immediately said, "Class Monitor Wade, this matter is handed over to me. I will come there." Charlie hurriedly thanked him. It seems that even though they have only been university classmates with Sabrina for a year, there is still some friendship between them, and he must return Sabrina's favor in the future. "Oh, Class Monitor Wade." A few minutes later, a woman's exclamation suddenly came from inside the hotel door. Lifting his head, Charlie saw a very coquettish woman wearing an OL costume, heavy makeup, and wriggling out of the hotel. Sabrina? Her changes are really big enough. He almost dare not recognize her. Seeing the glamorous girl, the two black-clothed security guards at the door hurriedly bent over and called respectfully, "Manager." "Sabrina." Charlie said in surprise, "Sabrina, I haven't seen you in a few years, you are now the team leader in Shangri-La, really amazing." Sabrina smiled and said, "Class Monitor, you are polite, I am actually just a team leader of the personnel department, and I can only be regarded as a small and middle-level employee in Shangri-La." Charlie exclaimed from the bottom of his heart, "That's already very powerful. I heard that Shangri-La's management is very demanding. You are really amazing." Sabrina smiled triumphantly, and then looked at the two black-clothed security guards beside her, and asked coldly, "You two blocked my university monitor at the door and refused to let in." The two looked at each other, and one of them hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, Leader Sabrina, we didn't know this is your university classmate, and he doesn't have a membership card. We were also abiding by the hotel regulations." Sabrina snorted coldly, "The rules are dead and people are alive. Don't you understand this truth?" Charlie thought that Sabrina was going to punish them for this, and hurriedly said, "Sabrina, don't make it difficult for them, they also act according to the rules." Looking at Charlie, Sabrina suddenly laughed. At the same time, she changed her face and sarcastically said, "Class Monitor Wade, you take yourself too seriously, you really think I will do it for you, and it will be difficult for my subordinates?" Charlie frowned. "Sabrina, what do you mean?" "What do I mean?" Sabrina curled her lips and smiled, "Is it not obvious enough? Just like you want to enter Shangri-La? I tell you, don't even think about it in this life." Charlie clenched his fists and asked her, "What do you mean?" "I am teasing you." Sabrina smiled and shivered, and said, "When I was in college, I didn't look down on you. I only knew the smelly rug, even a canteen bun without meat." "Still working as a class leader? Are you still gesticulating about my academic performance?" "I babble. Don't look at your virtue." Charlie said with a gloomy expression, "Sabrina, I think I have never provoked you, why do you ridicule me?" Sabrina hugged her shoulders and said proudly, "I just looked down on you, why? You are not allowed to talk about it. University classmates who didn't know that you went to be a live-in son-in-law after graduation? When you were in school, you couldn't afford to eat, and when you graduated you are eating leftovers, you still have the face to ask me for help." A bit of anger surged in Charlie's heart. People do not offend him, he does not offend people. Sabrina is really too much this time. At this moment, he suddenly received a text message from Stephen Thompson on his cell phone, "Mr. Wade, Shangri-La is the property of our Wade Group. Shangri-La in Oris Hill is just one of our more than 100 Shangri-La units." Charlie's pupils shrank suddenly. "Shangri-La belongs to the Wade family?" He subconsciously responded to the text message, "Aren't you lying to me?" Stephen Thompson said, "The person in charge of Oris Hill Shangri-La is named Isaac Craven and his phone number is 155. You call him and he will take care of everything. Is it okay?" Seeing that Charlie kept low-hair text messages made Sabrina very depressed. She felt like she was abusing the dog. Of course she wanted to hear the dog barking twice. But unexpectedly, Charlie didn't say a word. It seems that this class monitor, who was very stubborn when he was in college, is still so stubborn and indifferent to being scolded. So she increased her firepower and sneered, "Oh, class monitor, you can really bear it. By the way, I heard people say that you and Claire had been married for 3 years and you haven't gotten into her bed. Could it be that Claire was the mistress of others? Wouldn't you just be a pretense for her to be someone else's junior? Right? Ha ha ha." Charlie frowned. "It's all about insulting me, but also insulting my wife? Sabrina, you are looking for death by yourself." So, he dialed the phone number of Isaac Craven, the person in charge of Shangri-La, looked at Sabrina, and said indifferently, I want to ask your person in charge, how does Shangri-La recruit employees? Even someone with mouth full of dung, can they still be recruited? Dare to scold me? Are you tired of life? Sabrina immediately exploded her hair and shouted at the security guard beside her, he is here to insult me, give him a beating. At this time, Charlie had already dialed the phone. Hey, who? On the phone, a man's coercive voice came. Charlie asked coldly, are you Isaac Craven? My name is Charlie Wade. I'm at the door of Shangri-La now. I will give you 1 minute to get down, or you will get out of Shangri-La in the future. The man on the phone, who was still full of momentum, suddenly asked, young Mr. Wade? Are you really at the door of Shangri-La? Charlie said coldly, you still have 50 seconds. The other party seemed frightened and blurted out, wait a minute, I'm here. Sabrina laughed angrily by Charlie's phone call, and said sarcastically, Charlie, I didn't expect you to brag like this. Do you know the identity of President Isaac? The 2 top members of Shangri-La did not dare to act in front of President Isaac. Do you think you can bluff me by pretending to make a call? Charlie said lightly, is it bluffing you? You'll know after 30 seconds. Sabrina laughed loudly, okay, class monitor Wade, then I will wait with you for 30 seconds. Oh no, I will wait with you for 3 minutes. If they don't come out for 3 minutes, I will let the security guard tear your mouth. Look at how you brag in the future. Ha ha ha. You really laugh at me. 20 seconds. A middle-aged man wearing a top-level customized suit ran out in a panic. He is a dog of the Wade family and a very powerful dog. Since he took office in Oris Hill and became the head of Shangri-La, he has been one of the most respected existences in city. When has he been so flustered? However, he had to panic, and never dreamed that the young master would appear in Shangri-La where he was in charge. Sabrina was about to continue to ridicule Charlie, when she suddenly saw the security guards around her looking behind her with horror. When she turned her head subconsciously, she suddenly discovered that President Isaac was running out of it, and she was suddenly struck by lightning. Immediately, she looked at Charlie, her eyes full of horror. How is this possible? Who is Mr. Charlie? Isaac Craven's voice was trembling. The people were stunned, and Mr. Isaac, who was able to bring the Oris Hill earthquakes by stomping his feet, changed his voice in a panic at this moment. Charlie said at this moment, I am. Isaac Craven rushed to the front immediately, bowed and said, Master. Before he finished speaking, Charlie immediately said, Mr. Isaac, don't say something outside. When Isaac Craven heard this, his whole body trembled in shock. I am a stupid dog. The identity of the young master must be highly confidential, and he almost called out. If the young master blamed him for that, wouldn't he be finished? So he hurriedly changed his name, but still respectfully said, Mr. Charlie, you are welcome to Shangri-La. Please move to my office to talk. Sabrina was already frightened. She couldn't accept this reality, but it really happened in front of her eyes. What is the origin of Charlie? How can the bosses of Shangri-La treat him respectfully? She ridiculed him just now, shouldn't he hold grudges? Thinking of this, Sabrina hurriedly changed into a flattering look, and said to Charlie in a charming manner, it's really an honor for our Shangri-La and my old classmates to come by, Mr. Charlie. She felt that by complimenting Charlie, she could make Charlie forget or ignore what she had done just now. However, she took Charlie too kindly. When Isaac Craven heard Sabrina's words, he asked in surprise, "Sabrina, are you Charlie's classmate?" "Yes, yes, yes," Sabrina said hurriedly. "Charlie was the monitor of my college class. We have a very good relationship." Isaac Craven said immediately, "I will report to the president's office tomorrow, and you will be the personnel director of Shangri-La." From the team leader to the personnel director, there are at least 3 levels in Shangri-La, and the remuneration is more than 10 times, and most of the employees are in control of life and death. He is definitely one of the executives. When Sabrina heard this, she was excited and almost fainted. At this time, Charlie said coldly, "Mr. Charlie, do you know what my relationship is with Sabrina?" Isaac Craven thought that Charlie was dissatisfied with this arrangement, and immediately said, "If Mr. Charlie is not satisfied, then let Ms. Sabrina be promoted directly to Vice President." Charlie suddenly said, "Because I didn't have a membership card, I called Sabrina for help, but she actually humiliated me for no reason, and even wanted security to beat me several times." "You actually want to promote her to Vice President? What do you mean? Deliberately want to fight against me?" Hearing this, Isaac Craven felt cold. The flattering hit the horse's leg. Immediately, his eyes were full of anger when he looked at Sabrina. Immediately afterwards, he slapped Sabrina's face fiercely, and cursed, "Even Mr. Charlie dared to offend, you have the courage of the bear heart and leopard? Don't you want to live?" Sabrina was so frightened that she was soft, knelt on the ground and kept kowtow, crying, "Mr. Charlie, I was wrong." Isaac Craven kicked Sabrina abruptly, kicked her a few meters away, and cursed, "You are not a dog with long eyes. I will let you know today, and it has caused Mr. Charlie's price." Having said that, he shouted to the security guard beside him, "Beat her fiercely. Beat her half to death, and then give her plastic face a good look, and then tell the whole Oris Hill that no company will dare to use her in the future." Sabrina was so frightened that she hurriedly said, "President Isaac, I was wrong, please forgive me." Isaac Craven was furious, and shouted, "Now you know it was wrong? Why did you go? You can offend Mr. Wade too? If it wasn't for the face of Mr. Wade, I would kill you." Sabrina broke down and cried. She knelt on the ground and crawled all the way to Charlie, kowtowing her head again and again, "Class Monitor Wade, I was wrong, sorry. Please let it for the sake of classmates." Charlie asked her indifferently, "Sabrina, classmate, why did you insult me and my wife just now?" Sabrina cried bitterly and said, "Class Monitor, I was confused just now. I blame my bad mouth. Please forgive me." Charlie said, "If people do not offend me, I will not offend others, but if they offend me, I will never forgive others." After that, he snorted and said, "You brew your own bitter wine, drink it yourself." Isaac Craven scolded, "Dare to peesh with Mr. Wade, I will tear your broken mouth." Sabrina did not dare to beg for mercy anymore, but knelt on the ground and wept bitterly. Charlie did not sympathize with her at all, but simply ignored her and said blankly to Isaac Craven, I want to talk to you about the hanging garden. Let go to your office. Isaac Craven nodded hurriedly, and said respectfully, Mr. Charlie, come with me. After speaking, he pointed at the security guard beside him and shouted, hit her hard. Yes, President Isaac. How dare the security guard disobey him? Nodding his head, immediately rushed to hold Sabrina to beat her. Sabrina kept wailing, but Charlie completely ignored it, and under the guidance of Isaac Craven nodding and bowing, he entered Shangri-La. As soon as he arrived at Isaac Craven's office, Charlie went straight to the topic. A few days later, it will be my wife's wedding anniversary. I want to reserve the entire hanging garden. Can I do that? Isaac Craven said without hesitation, Mr. Wade, in order to ensure fairness to all high-end members, Hanging Garden has always refused to book the venue. Even the city leaders will not provide private space service. However, as long as you need it, the air in the garden can even be reserved for you alone forever. Charlie said indifferently, that's not necessary, just save it on the anniversary. Besides, I need you to cooperate with me and prepare a little surprise for my wife. Isaac Craven said immediately, Mr. Wade, don't worry, all Shangri-La employees and I will obey your instructions. Charlie got things done in Shangri-La. When he took the bus home, almost all the passengers in the bus were using TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Moreover, to his surprise, everyone is watching the same video. It's the video of throwing 13 millions in cash at Rare Earth. The video was shot from Stephen Thompson's Rolls-Royce team, a series of top Rolls-Royce cars, a dozen black security guards with black suitcases, and 13 million cash dropped on the ground for dogs to watch. The low-ranking sales manager has no place to show herself, and the whole process is posted online. However, the video failed to capture the front of Charlie. This video quickly became popular in Oris Hill. Countless people are wondering who is the superhero. Many girls even dreamed of Cinderella and the prince's dreams, eager to one day meet this low-key hero. Charlie repeatedly confirmed that he was difficult to recognize in the video, and then he was relieved and returned home. At this time, the home is full of joy. Claire got the contract from the Emgrand Group and was about to become the director of the Wilson Group. Her parents were naturally excited and tearful. She had been looked down upon in the Wilson family for so many years, now she can finally raise her head and be a woman. When the father-in-law and mother-in-law were happy, seeing Charlie was not as bored as before. The mother-in-law said excitedly, "Oh, I'm so happy today, my daughter is really not an ordinary person." After finishing speaking, she looked at Charlie again, and said with a rare smile, "Charlie, you can be considered a great inspiration for this matter. I won't let you cook today. Let's find a restaurant to have a meal." Claire smiled and said, "Then let's go to Kempinski to eat Western food. It's too expensive." The mother-in-law blurted out, "That's not more than 1,000 per capita." Claire smiled and said, "Mom, the director's salary is very high, with an annual salary of 1 million. "Oh!" The mother-in-law applauded joyfully, and happily said, "It's great, great. My family is finally promising." After that, she said, "However, you must pay at least 70% to your mother from your future salary. You young people don't understand the importance of financial management. Money is definitely more reliable with me than you save yourself. Claire nodded immediately and smiled. Okay Mom, I will give it to you every month at that time, but let's say it, you can't always rebuke Charlie in the future, saying things like how can he be your son-in-law? The mother-in-law immediately opened her eyes and smiled. Okay. Mom cares about your face, so try to talk less about him in the future. Wendell was sulking at home when a family of 4 went to Kempinski for dinner. He also saw the news from the emigrant group, and was very depressed. He thought Claire would not be able to get the contract from the emigrant group if he didn't help. He didn't expect that she would successfully win a contract of 60 million in the morning. He recalled that he had put a cruel remark at her house yesterday. This was not for her face? Harold also called to complain about it, and said as soon as he opened his mouth, "Brother Wendell, you are too interesting. I have been helping you create opportunities to chase my cousin, but you helped her win the cooperation of the emigrant group. Didn't you embarrass me? Wendell is also very innocent, what? I didn't help Claire." At this time, Harold asked again, "Brother Wendell, tell me the truth, did you put my cousin to sleep?" Wendell was too embarrassed to deny, saying that he had nothing to do with all of this. Wouldn't that mean admitting that he was incompetent? So he said yes, sorry Harold, I will definitely compensate you if I have a chance in the future. I knew it. Harold sighed, and then hurriedly asked, "Brother Wendell, my cousin should still be intact? She seems to have never let that rubbish touch, you really hit a jackpot this time." Wendell was delighted when he heard this. Okay. Claire is still a. Then he might as well declare to the public that she slept with him, so as to provoke the relationship between her and her husband. Thinking of this, he smiled and said to Harold, "Harold, your cousin was indeed still a virgin, and it was really cool to do it, ha ha ha." Harold said bitterly, "Then you can't ignore me from now on, Brother Wendell." "Relax." Wendell readily agreed. After hanging up Harold's phone, Wendell's father called again. As soon as the phone was connected, he blurted out, "Wendell, something has happened. The Marriott Group stopped all our cooperation. Have you been offending people these days?" When Wendell heard this, his heart felt like an ice cellar. The emigrant group has stopped all cooperation with the Jones family? Doesn't it mean that the family has suffered heavy losses? He blurted out, "What's the situation, Dad? I haven't offended anyone these days." "Have you offended anyone?" Wendell's father said angrily, "Neither do I. I have been in the company these days, and I haven't gone out to offend anyone." Wendell said nervously, "Oh, Dad, is it possible that the new chairman of Emigrant Group is preparing to shuffle the cards?" "Very likely." Wendell's father suddenly realized, now that the new chairman has taken over, I haven't had a chance to pay a visit. I have mentioned it to that Doris several times, but she keeps saying that their chairman is not attending guests. Wendell asked, "What should I do?" His father thought for a while and said, "Oh, right, there will be a banquet in the Wilson family tomorrow night. It is said that they have invited the chairman of the Emigrant Group. Let's go and find a chance to meet him." "Okay." Wendell said immediately, "Tomorrow we will go together." The next day, at the most important highlight of the Wilson family, the entire family was excited up and down. Because after a night of fermentation, the Wilson family got the Emgrand Group contract and invited the Emgrand Group chairman to participate in the family banquet. The news has spread throughout Oris Hill. For this banquet, Charlie found his most expensive suit to put on and went to the hotel where the banquet was held. As soon as he arrived at the hotel entrance, Charlie got out of the car and saw a Porsche suddenly braked and stopped in front of him. Immediately afterwards, Wendell, dressed in a designer suit and meticulously combed hair, got out of the car. Soon, a receptionist came up and greeted Wendell graciously. And Wendell obviously saw Charlie too, with a trace of disdain in his eyes, looked at him up and down, and smiled. "Where did you find a copycat suit, and the person wearing it looks like a dog?" Charlie asked calmly, "What does it have to do with you?" The corner of Wendell's mouth curled up, with a bit of sarcasm on his face, and said, "You have nothing to do with me, but your wife has something to do with me now." Charlie frowned slightly and asked, "What's the relationship?" People around can't help but stop. Beginning last night, there was a gossip in the circle. According to the news, Claire was able to win the Emgrand Group's cooperation entirely because she dedicated her life to Wendell's relationship. Otherwise, with the strength of her and the Wilson family, how could she win the Emgrand Group? Now it seems that this is really a sign. Wendell saw the crowd gathered, and said to Charlie, "What do you think was the reason why the Emgrand Group was able to win the cooperation in the first place?" Charlie looked at Wendell and asked indifferently, "Because of what?" Wendell's mouth curled up and said, "Of course it's because of me, because Claire is now my woman, so I tried my best to help her win the Emgrand cooperation. If you know, divorce her sooner. It's also considered adult beauty." Although everyone around had speculated, but now that Wendell said it bluntly, everyone could not help being surprised. Claire actually got the cooperation of Emgrand Group through sleeping with Wendell. "Because of you." Charlie laughed instead of anger when he heard this, and said, "You are worthy too." "I'm not worthy, are you worthy?" Wendell said with gloomy eyes, "You are just a rubbish, you can't even look at your own wife. It's too wrong to follow you in the first place. It's nice to follow me, I can give her what she wants." Charlie's face turned cold, lowered his voice, and said coldly, "I'll give you two choices. First, you will kowtow to Claire and apologize. In front of everyone, you will swallow what you have said. Second, I will completely bankrupt your family group, if you disagree." "Ha ha 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 ha, are you kidding me? What kind of thing are you that made my group bankrupt?" Wendell laughed wildly and looked at Charlie disdainfully, obviously not taking what he said seriously. "Are you a mentally retarded daydreamer? What do you use to make my family group go bankrupt? Do you know what the market value of my family group is?" Charlie was expressionless, staring at Wendell for a moment with a mentally retarded expression, took out the phone at random, and dialed Stephen Thompson. "Within 3 minutes, I want to see Wendell's group go bankrupt and liquidate its assets, and debts soar. In 3 minutes, letting a group with a market value of several billion go bankrupt is simply a pipe dream." Wendell stared at Charlie with a stern look, and said, "You're so awesome. Do you think you are the superhero on the internet?" After that, Wendell said coldly, "Rubbish, don't pretend, I also give you two choices. First, you will kneel down and apologize to me, and then divorce Claire immediately. Second, I will find a few people to completely abolish you from the face of earth. Then, let you see me and Claire sweet and sweet with your own eyes, and you can choose yourself. I will give you 1 minute. Charlie looked down at the phone and said, you have 1 minute left, are you sure you can't save it? You still have 30 seconds to think about it. If you don't kneel down, I will make you regret it forever. Wendell said indifferently. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. The time is up, don't blame me for being cruel, it's you rubbish that you found yourself. Wendell shook his collar, then waved to a few bodyguards, ready to take care of the rubbish first. But at this moment, Wendell's cell phone rang suddenly. Wendell was taken aback, saw his father calling, and quickly picked up. Dad, I'm already at the party, are you here? On the phone, Wendell's father snarled frantically, you rubbish! Who on earth did you offend? What trouble did you cause? Now all shareholders are frantically dumping our group's stock, and our stock has fallen by more than 90%. As he said, his father roared again, the bank suddenly came to ask for debt repayment. All the partners suddenly stopped cooperating with us and stopped settlement. Our capital chain has been broken. There is only one way out for bankruptcy and liquidation. Wendell's face instantly turned pale as he listened to the voice from the phone, and cold sweat dripped from his forehead. Our house is over. Completely over. Wendell wanted to ask again. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a police siren on the opposite side of the mobile phone, followed by the sound of a door breaking, and the voice of the police asking his father to cooperate in the investigation. He was suddenly weak, and the phone fell to the ground, smashing to pieces. As soon as his legs softened, he knelt in front of Charlie. The wind blew, and the body and heart were cold. Those bodyguards, seeing this picture, were all surprised and stopped stepping forward. Wendell was extremely frightened, and asked Charlie in a low voice, "Who are you? You did it, right?" The crowd onlookers were also extremely surprised. Wendell answered the call and suddenly knelt in front of the son-in-law of the Wilson family. What happened? Charlie looked down at him, bent over slightly, and said in a low voice, "I gave you the opportunity to choose, but you didn't choose the right one. I know that I was wrong, I apologize to you, please, let me go. At first I have nothing to do with you, I have never touched her, the Emgrand Group's cooperation is not my help, those words just said are all made up, I beg you, forgive me and my family." Wendell kept kowtow apologizing, he couldn't even dream that a son-in-law of the Wilson family would have such a great energy. One phone call breaking his family. When he raised his head and looked at Charlie's cheek, he only felt that this plain face was more terrifying than a demon. Kin let his family go bankrupt within a few minutes, such a character is not offended at all. Charlie shook his head and said, "You should be satisfied, because at least I will save you a life. Otherwise, your whole family will be dead." As soon as he said this, Wendell's face paled and his whole body trembled violently. Charlie looked at him and said coldly, "To tell you the truth, I am the superhero on the internet. If you don't want to die, you'd better not talk about my identity, otherwise, you and your father won't survive tomorrow morning." After speaking, Charlie patted Wendell's face, and stepped into the hall without paying attention to him. But Wendell completely slumped to the ground, and he did not dare to resist Charlie's extremely humiliating action. Seeing Charlie walked into the hall, Wendell even ran into the hall rolling. Looking around and seeing Claire's figure, he crawled over there, knelt at Claire's feet, kept kowtow, and cried, "Claire, I apologize to you, I shouldn't tell you about it. The rumors, you got the Emigrant Group project, it has nothing to do with me, please, let me go." Claire was taken aback by his actions, and quickly dodged backwards, but ran into a warm embrace. Claire looked back, and it was Charlie who hugged himself. After Charlie came in, he saw Claire. Today's Claire has been carefully dressed, like a blooming star in the crowd, dazzling. Seeing Wendell rushing towards Claire, Charlie took her in his arms first to prevent her from falling, and gave Wendell a fierce look. Wendell was frightened and rolled away on his stomach, for fear of angering Charlie. Claire asked puzzledly, what happened to him? Charlie hugged her while whispering, "I'm afraid this person is sick. Leave him alone." Although the two were husband and wife, they didn't have any close contact. Feeling Charlie's warm embrace, Claire's ears were red. She hurriedly broke free from Charlie's arms, and said falteringly, "Well, Chairman Wade of the Emigrant Group should be here, I'm going to see." When Wendell fled, Harold just came in, followed by his sister Wendy and his fiancée Yunlong White. Beside Yunlong, there was also a young man dressed in luxurious clothes. Looking at his face, he looked a bit like Gerald. When he met Wendell head-on, Harold said hurriedly, "Oh, Brother Wendell. When I just came in, I heard someone say something happened to your family." "Really?" Wendell pushed him away in despair, muttering in his mouth, "It's over, it's over, it's all over." Harold asked with concern, "Mr. Jones, what's wrong with you?" Wendell shook his head in fear, dare not say anything. He had no doubt that if he said something that he shouldn't say, he might be corpse on the street tomorrow. So Wendell broke away from Harold's hand and ran out in despair. Harold looked at his back and sighed, "I guess this house is really finished, too soon, right? It was fine yesterday, but today it is bankrupt." Later, when Harold saw Charlie and Claire, he was moved with bad thoughts, and hurriedly greeted Claire, "Claire, I will introduce you to this distinguished guest. This is Gerald's cousin, Fred White. The eldest son of the White family. Brother Fred, this is my cousin, Claire." Harold introduced to Fred with a flattering expression. As soon as Fred came in, his eyes were tightly focused on Claire. Hearing the words, he quickly stretched out his hand and said, "Hello Claire. I have heard about the beauty of the daughter of the Wilson family a long time ago. Seeing it today, it really deserves its reputation." A trace of dissatisfaction flashed in Charlie's eyes. There was no way for his wife to be beautiful, and the flies around her would be annoying to death after catching one after another. So he stretched out his hand first, shook hands with Fred, and said coldly, "Hello, I am Claire's husband." "You?" Fred looked up and down at Charlie, his disdain was overwhelming, and he withdrew his hand before he said indifferently, "I didn't expect Claire to be married. It's really a flower on the cow dung." Wendy quickly explained on the side, "Brother Fred, this rubbish is imported into our Wilson family. He has no job and no ability. After finishing speaking, she deliberately winked at Fred and said, "Brother Fred, after I marry Gerald, we will be considered as a family, and we must have more contact by then." Fred naturally knew what she meant. This was to encourage him to pursue Claire. Then he smiled and said, "Miss Claire is as beautiful as an immortal. If I can communicate more, I can't ask for it." At this moment, Charlie also saw his mother-in-law Elaine and father-in-law Jacob approaching. After Elaine walked over, he hurriedly said to Claire, "Claire, have you heard about it? Joan's family is bankrupt." "Hey?" Claire asked in surprise, "When did it happen?" "Just now." Elaine sighed, "I thought you would divorce Charlie in the future, and you can be with Wendell, but now it's nothing to watch." Charlie was very depressed. Is this mother-in-law a fool? Don't know that the current son-in-law is the real son-in-law? After seeing Elaine, Fred hurried over and introduced himself. "You must be Claire's mother, right?" "Auntie, I am Gerald's cousin Fred." "You are so beautiful, no wonder you can give birth to Claire. Such a beautiful daughter." When Elaine heard that Fred turned out to be Gerald's cousin, the eldest son of the White family, and the son of the rich family, her eyes lit up and she said enthusiastically, "Yes, I am Claire's mother." "Are you and Claire friends?" Fred nodded and smiled, "Kind of friends, but I just met today." Elaine was full of joy, and quickly nodded and said, "Everyone quickly find a place to sit, don't stand, Mr. White, you young people, you should have more contact in the future." "Mom!" Claire exclaimed in dissatisfaction, preventing her mother from continuing. Elaine was about to say something. Claire gave her a hand to remind everyone to pay attention to the stage. At this time, Mrs. Wilson was already standing in the spotlight. She looked around with excitement before she stood in front of the microphone and smiled and said, "First of all, on behalf of the Wilson family, I welcome dear friends and partners to come to our banquet. Then, let us welcome the Vice Chairman of Emgrand Group, Ms. Doris." The spotlight moved instantaneously, hitting the beam of light on the front seat. Wearing a black evening dress, Doris completely exposed her perfect figure to everyone's eyes. Under the light, she was as dazzling as a fairy, and all the men in the field couldn't help but focus on her. Emgrand Group, Vice Chairman. Peerless beauty. Each of these identities is enough to attract everyone's attention. After Doris stood up, she just nodded to the crowd. When she saw Charlie, her eyes stayed for a while before she moved away. At this time, the old Mrs. Wilson continued to speak. "Today, I would like to thank the Emgrand Group for being able to entrust such an important project to the Wilson family. The Wilson family will definitely go all out to live up to the trust of Emgrand. Secondly, we also want to introduce to our friends an outstanding junior of our Wilson family. If it weren't for him, we would not have reached a cooperation with Emgrand. Moreover, after mutual consultation of our group, we decided to nominate him as our Wilson Group's director, is solely responsible for the cooperation with Emgrand Group." The mother-in-law Elaine said excitedly, "Oh, Claire! It's time for you to be on stage." Although Claire was ready to take the stage, she was still nervous. Charlie immediately cast an encouraging look at her. Harold looked at Claire, who was full of excitement, and couldn't help but show a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Old Mrs. Wilson also looked at the table and spoke with a smile. "Let us welcome the new director of the Wilson Group, Harold." Claire's figure instantly froze in place. She looked to the side in disbelief, but saw Harold proudly and stepped onto the stage. Charlie's eyes turned cold instantly. A good way to cross the river and demolish the bridge. The Wilson family, after using Claire, immediately abandoned her, not caring about her feelings at all. Claire's eye circles instantly turned red, and tears kept rolling in his eye sockets. Immediately afterward, she stood up and ran out of the door without looking back. For her, how happy she was when she came, how desperate she was now. Charlie watched her leave, his face even colder. "Bullying my wife? Are you looking for death?" At this time, Harold stood on the stage and said proudly, "Thank you for the trust of the company. I will definitely work hard to be a director. I will definitely complete the project given to us by Emgrand Group." Mrs. Wilson nodded in satisfaction, took the words, and said, "There is one more important thing about this banquet, that is, we are fortunate to have Mr. Wade, the new chairman of the Emgrand Group. Please use the warmest applause. Welcome to Chairman Wade." There was thunderous applause from the audience. All the guests tonight are rushing to the new chairman of Emgrand Group. Everyone is waiting to see his style. Everyone is watching privately, just want to see, who will stand up at this moment. Someone even said, "I suspect that the mysterious chairman of the Emgrand Group is the same person as the super goddess who made a lot of noise at Rare Earth on the internet. I also think it's very possible. That superhero's back looks strange, it shouldn't be in the Oris Hill circle. God! If you say that, isn't the chairman of Emgrand Group the most powerful super rich in Oris Hill? I look forward to seeing him in his true colors." In this fierce applause, under the eager attention of countless people, Charlie suddenly, with cold his face and slowly stood up. In everyone's incredible eyes, Charlie slowly stood up. The eyes of the entire banquet hall focused on him in an instant. "Charlie, what are you doing? Sit down." Elaine quickly reminded him in fright. He didn't look at what occasion it was. There are so many big men present, none of them dared to stand up. "You Charlie are a wasteful son-in-law, what makes you think the limelight at this time is for you?" Fred and Gerald also glanced at each other, secretly saying in their hearts, the chairman of the Emgrand Group would really be him, right? But then, the two shook their heads again. Impossible, if he is really the chairman of Emgrand, how could he be scolded by Elaine? "What are you rubbish? Sit down in your place!" Harold shouted from the stage with a dark face. Charlie glanced at him coldly, then walked straight to Doris Young, completely ignoring everyone's horrified gaze, and whispered a few words in her ear. While listening, Doris Young nodded slightly. This scene made everyone's heart tighten instantly. Doris Young, the vice chairman of Emgrand Group, the famous beauty of Oris Hill City. Charlie, a wasteful son-in-law, how could he know her? And looking like this, the relationship between the two seems pretty good. After speaking, Charlie stepped out of the hall regardless of everyone's gaze, focused on him. He went out to chase Claire. But Doris Young stood up, stepped onto the stage, took the microphone, and said in the blank eyes of everyone, "Hello everyone, this is Doris Young. Mr. Charlie was outside the venue before and met our chairman. He brought me a world. When everyone heard that Charlie was not the chairman of Emgrand, they were relieved. Fred White breathed a sigh of relief and whispered disdainfully, "It's just that he met someone once, so he tried desperately to cheat on the assistant. It's really rubbish." Gerald White shrugged and said with a smile, "This is how the little guy is." At this time, Doris Young on the stage glanced at Mrs. Wilson, her face turned cold. "The chairman asked me to inform you. From now on, Emgrand Group terminates its cooperation with Wilson's, and the signed contract is declared invalid." Boom! The crowd exploded in an instant, and no one expected that Doris Young would say such a thing. This sudden change made everyone stunned. Old Mrs. Wilson paled instantly and asked eagerly, "Dear Vice Chair, what is this? Is there anything in our Wilson family that is wrong?" Today, she invited all the people in Aurora Hill with good repute, hoping to take this opportunity to become famous in Oris Hill. If under all the eyes of everyone, the Wilson family would be stepped on the soles of their feet if they cooperated. Doris Young said, "This project was originally our chairman's approval of Ms. Claire before cooperating with you, but you made your own claim and asked an inexplicable person to take charge of this project. Sorry, we don't accept it." After speaking, Doris Young put down the microphone and walked out the door without looking back. Old Mrs. Wilson's face was pale, and she slumped on the stage for an instant. She never dreamed that her momentary cleverness would have ruined this golden opportunity for good. Had she known this situation a long time ago, she would not have allowed Harold to replace Claire's directorship. Harold was also very at a loss this time. What's the matter? It seems that Doris Young deliberately targeted him, and he did not even offend her. Harold couldn't help asking the old Mrs. Wilson, "Grandma, the director's appointment has been announced, you won't regret it." Old Mrs. Wilson struggled to stand up, raised her hand and slapped him, angrily scolded, "You still don't want to miss the directorship, even at such a time." After Charlie went out, he realized that Claire hadn't gone far, just squatting in an unmanned corner next to the hotel, crying aggrievedly. He slowly approached, took off his coat, put on Claire, and said, "My wife, don't be sad, the director of the Wilson family is not a treasure, no matter it's inappropriate for your family to treat you like that. You don't understand, if I become the director, my parents will be able to raise their eyes in the Wilson family. How can Grandma turn back?" Claire whimpered. Charlie continued to persuade, "Maybe they will have to come and beg you to be the director. You are crying like this now, and you won't look pretty after a while on stage." Claire choked and said, "How is it possible? Grandma has said everything, and there will be no chance of turning back. Leave me, let me be alone." At this moment, Mrs. Wilson and Harold also ran out of the banquet hall. The Lady Wilson was too old and out of breath when she ran. A large group of people behind her came out to watch the scene in excitement. After Harold came out, he saw Charlie and Claire. He ran forward quickly, looked down at Claire with dim eyes, and blurted out, "Claire, hurry up and chase Miss Doris, let her not terminate cooperation with us." Claire looked blank. "Terminate cooperation? Why?" Harold said angrily, "You are here pretending to be innocent. You must have instructed Miss Doris to embarrass me publicly. If you don't settle this matter for me, I can't spare you." Snapped. The old Mrs. Wilson who was on the side slapped Harold angrily again and said, "You be at start, how can you talk to your sister like that? She is the director of our Wilson group." Harold was anxious. "Didn't Grandma chose me as the director?" The old Mrs. Wilson said angrily, "If you hadn't given me ecstasy, how could I change my mind temporarily? If you continue to be reluctant, get out of the Wilson family." After being smoked twice by the Lady Wilson, Harold was extremely angry, but he dared not speak, so he could only swallow his anger temporarily. The old Mrs. Wilson said to Claire again at this time, "Claire, Grandma begs you, you are now the director of the Wilson family, hurry up and explain to Miss Doris, otherwise, our Wilson family will be in ruins." Claire looked at Charlie blankly with doubts. Charlie shrugged and said, "I told you, they have to come and beg you to be the director in a while. You didn't believe me? Look, your face is all messed up." Claire blushed, wiped her tears, and said, "Then I will try to contact Emgrand." After speaking, she dialed Doris Young's phone. Everyone's eyes focused on her. After a while, the phone was connected, and Claire said, "Hello, Miss Doris, Grandma asked me to explain to you, I will be promoted to the director of the Wilson family, responsible for the cooperation with Emgrand. Can you give us another chance?" Doris Young chuckled and said, "If you are the director and can take the charge, then there is no problem. The cooperation can continue, but if it is someone else, everything stays at the current status." "Miss Doris, thank you so much." Claire was always puzzled about this matter in her heart. From beginning to end, the Emgrand group seemed to be here entirely to help her, which was too abnormal. Doris Young said with a smile, "This is what our chairman meant. If there is a chance in the future, the chairman will explain it to you personally." Claire was even more puzzled. Who was the chairman of the other party, and she had never seen him? Why did the other party help him everywhere? Then, "Can you please return to the banquet hall again?" Claire asked nervously. The other party had left with anger, obviously irritated by the Wilson family. At this time, asking the other party to come back is a bit difficult. But she didn't expect that Doris Young agreed resolutely. Soon everyone saw that Doris Young's car had returned to the door of the hotel. At this moment, everyone looked at Claire's gaze, all filled with horror and awe. When everyone returned to the banquet hall, the Lady Wilson took Claire's hand on the stage. With an intimate gesture, she said, "I'm really sorry for just now, it was me who made a mistake. In fact, thanks to Claire this time, she is the outstanding descendant of our Wilson family." This time the cooperation between the Wilson family and the Emgrand resulted from the efforts of Claire. She really made great efforts. Doris Young stood by her side, glanced at her disdainfully, waved her hand to stop her from speaking further, and said, "I will correct it. In this cooperation, Miss Claire has not only made great efforts, but completely it is made possible by her power, and has nothing to do with other people. This is extremely rude, but everyone is accustomed to it. With the status of an emperor, even if Doris Young slaps the Lady Wilson in public, she dare not say anything." The old Mrs. Wilson nodded quickly and said, "Vice Chair Doris is right. For everything, the credit goes to Claire. From now on, Claire will be the director of the Wilson family's business, fully responsible for the cooperation between the Wilson family and the Emgrand group." Doris Young showed a slight smile and shook hands with Claire and said, "I hope we can cooperate happily in the future." Claire was still a little at loss, and could only nod her confused head. The audience burst into thunderous applause, and everyone looked at Claire's eyes, also full of enthusiasm. This woman, who is on the list? The emigrant group treats her so seriously. Claire herself was also confused. She turned her head to look at Charlie. The situation at this time was exactly the same as what Charlie had just said. Old Mrs. Wilson returned the position of director that should belong to her. Until the banquet was over, Claire was still in a daze after returning home. Recalling what Charlie had said before, she couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. In the past few days, Charlie seemed to have become a little different. There seemed to be many things on his body that she didn't understand, like it was covered by layers of mist. This night, Claire became famous in Oris Hill. Everyone knows that there is an outstanding junior from the Wilson family, and the emigrant group is on her back. It seems that with her, the revitalization of the Wilson family is just around the corner. The next morning, Claire woke up early and hurried to the company refreshed. Today is her first day as a director. She hopes that she can go all out to do this thing well. After Charlie got up, he started to do housework as always. When Charlie finished his housework and was about to go to the vegetable market to buy vegetables for lunch, he suddenly received a call from his mother-in-law Elaine. After answering the call, the mother-in-law's extremely anxious voice came from over there, "Charlie, within 10 minutes, you must rush to the safe road for me, otherwise I won't spare you when I go home." After that, she hung up the phone. Charlie was confused. The mother-in-law didn't say anything early in the morning. At this moment, she called suddenly, as if something urgent had happened. Although Charlie was very disgusted with his mother-in-law, he did not dare to neglect her orders. After hurriedly cleaning up, he went out to take a taxi and rushed to Safe Road. When he got out of the car, he saw a group of grandpas and aunts surrounded aggressively at the door of a closed insurance company. And his mother-in-law stood at the forefront of the team, holding a banner in her hand, shouting angrily, "Rubbish Harley, fake platform, we want our rights, and pay back my hard-earned money." Charlie hurriedly stepped forward and asked, "Mom, you called me over, what's the matter?" As he was speaking, the condemning slogans sounded in his ear again. The grandfathers and aunts shouted hoarsely that rang the eardrums of the passerbys. Elaine pulled Charlie over, asked him to take her place, and then ordered, "Come on, shout this slogan for me, I have been yelling it all morning, and my voice has become hoarse." Charlie didn't know why, but he could only protest with a few uncles and aunts. When shouting slogans, he inquired with an uncle next to him from time to time, and then he understood what was going on. It turned out that this Harley Insurance Co. Limited offered insurance products with extremely high return rates. And this elderly were attracted by the high rate of return. Everyone bought a lot of insurance products under the company's name and became their customers. This is the fixed time to pay dividends. Unexpectedly, when these elders and aunts came to withdraw cash, they discovered that the door of the company was closed, and only a few employees were at the door, using botched excuses to prevaricate everyone. This gang of grandpas and aunts realized that they were deceived by the empty-gloved white wolf. No wonder the mother-in-law wanted to call him over in a hurry and asked him to participate with him. Thinking of this, Charlie grew big and couldn't help but ask his mother-in-law, "Mom, how much insurance did you buy?" Elaine said anxiously, "They told me that buying the insurance products will bring me a lot of dividends. My head got dizzy and I bought all of their products with all the money from home." Charlie was taken aback. "What? All the money from home used to buy insurance?" After hearing this sentence, Elaine immediately became irritated and cursed. "Just do you have a mouth? Do you think I am not embarrassed enough? Why speak so loudly?" As she spoke, she continued her carping and said, "If you had brought me some profit I would not have bought the products of this insurance company. With a wasted son-in-law like you at the house, what else were my options for the money at home? This guy, it's okay when he does not support the family. But now he is laughing at her, as if he'd made fortunes with that money." Immediately, she said to Charlie, "I am telling you, keep chanting slogans here to help me, you can't stop for a moment." Charlie couldn't help but nodded and said, "Okay Mom." At this moment, several aunts came over, looked up and down Charlie, then asked Elaine, "Sister Elaine, is this your son-in-law?" As they spoke, they scanned Charlie's clothes again, shook their head, and laughed. "Why does he look so poor? He does not look like a son-in-law material from any angle." "Yes, this dress is worn too many times. It can't compare to that of Lady Wilson." Some people are so good at disparaging, the ridicule in and out of the words is particularly harsh. Charlie didn't care. They were all old ladies who had fallen into the soil up to half of their bodies. Now they have lost their savings for a lifetime, so he doesn't need to exchange words with them. Elaine was also very angry at this time, and the more Charlie looked at it, the more unpleasant she was. She blurted out, "Look at him, I'll let my daughter divorce him in a few days. Change her future with a new son-in-law." Charlie sneered in his heart. If you add the rich second generations of Oris Hill in, it can't be compared with his half-finger. Elaine was anxiously worried at this time. Charlie was a waste, and at most he could shout slogans for her. If she wants to invest back, she still needs someone with real ability to come and help solve it. It's a pity that Wendell Jones's family who has been pursuing her daughter has gone bankrupt. Otherwise, she could ask them to help. Correct. Elaine suddenly remembered that Gerald's brother, Fred, whom she met at the family banquet yesterday, is her hope. Judging from his attitude towards her daughter at the time, it is estimated that he had some thoughts about Claire. Although the White family is not as good as the previous Jones family, it is still a big family. If she calls him over, there should be a way. It just so happened that Fred White left his business card yesterday, so she took her phone out and dialed Fred's number. The call got connected soon. Elaine said, "Hey, is it Fred? This is Claire's mother." Ever since Fred White saw Claire at the banquet, he was shocked as a heavenly man and never forgot about her. He was worried that he had no chance to get close to Claire, and it happened that Claire's mother called herself. He speculated that Elaine was in trouble, and of course he would not let go of this opportunity for courtesy. So, he immediately greeted politely, "Aunt Elaine, is everything okay?" "Well, there is something Auntie needs your help for." Elaine hurriedly said, "Fred, a few old sisters and I bought some wealth management products from an insurance company called Harley, and the wealth of the family has been invested in it, but now this company does not allow withdrawals. Can you find a way to help Auntie get the money back?" After listening, Fred was overjoyed. He felt that it was time to perform and said confidently, "Auntie, don't worry, I will come to you now and I will definitely help you solve this matter." Elaine was immediately excited, and hurriedly said, "Thank you so much." Hanging up the phone, she looked at Charlie again and said angrily, "Some people don't have any abilities, just can't count on them. Besides shouting two slogans, what are they for? Utterly useless." Charlie sneered after listening. This mother-in-law was really snobbish and blind. She called Fred for help? This company has defrauded at least tens of millions or more of funds. Those who dare to swindle so much money must have a very strong backing. It's even possible that they are bigwigs in the underground world. How could Fred White let scammers spit out the money? The White family's strength is very average. After the Emgrand Group ceased cooperation, its strength has shrunk even more. With the White family's background, it is basically impossible to interfere in such a large financial fraud. In fact, this little matter can be solved immediately by calling Isaac Craven from Shangri-La. After all, he is the spokesperson of the Wade family in Oris Hill, and any Oris Hill entrepreneur or big figure in black and white must give him enough face. However, my mother-in-law is really hateful. Since she believes in Fred White, let Fred White help her. Let's see what he can do for her." When someone saw Elaine made a phone call, they immediately smiled, and immediately surrounded her and asked her if she had found any important figure to help them out. Elaine proudly said to a group of old ladies and men around her, "Don't worry, I asked the eldest master of the White family to come and help. Hey, we'll make some calls, and our hard-earned money will be returned hopefully." Someone exclaimed, "The eldest young master of the White family? Or sister, you are great, you can find such a great personality." "Yes, then young Mr. White must have a lot of contacts. To solve our problem, isn't it just a matter of a few words?" "Sister, since you have such good contacts, why didn't you marry your daughter to someone like him, instead of giving your daughter to such a SHT?" Elaine glanced at Charlie disdainfully, and snorted coldly, "This kind of waste will be swept out by our Wilson family sooner or later." Charlie didn't say a word, planning to wait for Fred White to come to see how he hit the wall. Soon, a black Porsche slowly stopped in front of everyone. A young man in a suit and leather shoes, with seemingly talented looks, came out of the car. "Fred White is here." The old men and women all around were sighing, "Oh, look at people, this is a young talent. Such a good son-in-law, I don't know whose daughter will be lucky in the future to be his wife. Yet, if my daughter could marry him, I would die of happiness." "Bah, stop dreaming. Even if you die, people won't look down on your girl." At this moment, Elaine saw Fred White at once, and immediately ran forward, and said eagerly, "Oh, Fred, you are here, your aunt is going to die. The person here is Fred White." Fred White smiled and said, "Auntie, I'm sorry, I have kept you waiting." Elaine hurriedly said, "Oh, Fred, you are so polite. Auntie didn't wait for 10 minutes. You came so fast." Fred White smiled and said, "I heard that you were in trouble, so I drove over and ran through several red lights along the way." Elaine looked smug, but asked with concern, "Isn't it troublesome to run so many red lights?" "No," Fred White said calmly, "the traffic team in the city are all acquaintances, and a phone call can eliminate any violation." After speaking, Fred White said again, "Let's talk about you. How much money have you been cheated off?" Elaine sighed and said, "A total of more than 1 million has been invested. It is said that this month's dividends can get 200,000, but the principal cannot be raised." Fred White nodded and said boisterously, "Don't worry, I will handle this matter. If I go out, I will definitely help you get the money back." After speaking, he suddenly saw Charlie standing behind Elaine, and his face changed slightly. Unexpectedly, Charlie, an eye-catching waist, was there. Since seeing Claire, Fred White's thoughts of her moved in his heart. After hearing his younger brother Gerald White said that Claire should still be single, this thought in his heart was even stronger. Therefore, seeing Claire's rubbish husband, he naturally sneered. He deliberately smiled and said, "Oh, Brother Wade is here, do you have a way to help Aunt Elaine get back the investment? Or do you give it a try first? You won't turn around and blame me for stealing your limelight." Elaine hurriedly said, "Let him try, what can he do to help? He can just open his mouth and help shout some slogans. Fred, leave him alone." Fred White nodded and said sarcastically, "Since Brother Wade doesn't have this ability, then I will give it a try." Charlie smiled slightly and said, "Mr. Fred, come on, you can do it." Fred White laughed disdainfully. At this time, the gang of grandpas and aunts around Elaine gathered one by one, chanting on Elaine, and said, "Elaine, can you let this little handsome guy also help us? All of us were cheated of hard-earned money." Elaine arrogantly said, "Oh, I can't ask him for that. Fred is giving me a favor, but he doesn't know you." Others pleaded with Fred White, "Mr. White, you are so great, please help us too." Fred White dismissed other people but saw that Elaine loves petty things and cheapness, so he smiled and said, "Since everyone is Aunt's friends, then I can do you a favor." When everyone was overjoyed, Fred White looked arrogantly and said, "It's just that I am helping you because of Aunt Elaine. Therefore, you must pay Aunt 10% for the money I get for you. Is it acceptable?" Others hurriedly said, "No problem. It's a lot better to get a return of 90 than nothing." As soon as Elaine heard this, she was immediately happy. The money adds up to tens of millions considering all. If Fred White can really help to get it back, wouldn't she make millions? Just when Elaine was very excited, Fred White said loudly, "Uncles and aunts, don't worry, I will go to communicate with them now, just keep waiting for the good news." Elaine felt that she was backed by Fred White at this moment, and no one dared to provoke her, so she immediately blurted out, "Fred, I'll come with you." Charlie hurriedly said to Elaine, "Mom, you'd better not go there and join in the fun. In case Fred White can't solve this matter, you may be in trouble." "Hey!" Elaine said angrily, "do you dare to question Mr. Fred's abilities?" The other aunts and grandpas were all expecting that Fred White could help them get back their hard-earned money, and now Charlie actually sang against everyone, naturally causing everyone dissatisfaction. In the face of countless people's accusations, Charlie said calmly, "Mom, it's okay for you to wait here. It's best not to join the negotiations." Elaine couldn't hear it at all, and immediately cursed, "Shut your stinky mouth, this is not the place for you to speak." Fred White's face was also full of arrogance, and he laughed and said, "You're not good at it, but your jealousy is not small. Do you think I'm just like you, a rubbish who just opens mouth and shouts slogans?" Seeing that his mother-in-law did not listen to his persuasion, Charlie didn't speak any more at all, and said lightly, "Okay, then I am waiting for the good news from young Mr. White." To his mother-in-law Elaine, Charlie is getting on her nerves. She is too snobbish, but often blinded by appearances. To put it plainly, she is the Lady Wilson with long hair and short insight. Today's incident seems to be nothing more than a fraud, but after a little research, you know that the water behind is very deep. The mother-in-law has no vision, and she has to go to the muddy water herself. Then she can't help her elevated sense of importance. Elaine didn't know that Charlie was kind, so she gave him a fierce look, and said to Fred White apologetically in the next second, "Mr. Fred, don't take it to your heart if he says this rubbish. Auntie absolutely believes in you." Fred White smiled triumphantly and said, "It's okay, Auntie, I won't be inferior to a wimp." Having said that, he immediately said vigorously, "Auntie, let's go over. It is good." Fred White took Elaine through the crowd and stepped to the door of Harley Insurance Company. As soon as the two arrived at the door, he immediately said loudly to several employees who were blocking the door, "Go and tell your leader to immediately refund the money of these uncles and aunts, otherwise I will immediately let the lawyer team and the public security organ intervene. At that time, you and your boss will be arrested." Elaine also echoed from the side, "Have you heard of these dogs? We are supported now. If your scam company does not refund the money, be careful that young Mr. White is sending you all to prison." The young employee at the head was also a little nervous and hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, I'm just a security guard, and I'm not responsible for the specific business." Fred White said coldly, "Then call your boss and tell him that I am Fred White of the Oris Hill royal family. Let him come and deal with it personally, otherwise, he will face the consequences." While speaking, Fred White's face was full of arrogance. Although White family is not top in Oris Hill, it is at least medium. The boss of a scam company, after hearing his name, can he still save himself? The young employee didn't know his depth and was a little scared, so he immediately called his boss. At this time, in the office of the chairman of Harley Insurance Company, the boss Harley Joe was serving a middle-aged man in his 40s with a flat face. He smiled all over his face, took out a bank card from the drawer, handed it over respectfully, and said, "Fifth Lord, there are 30 million in this card. The password is your birthday. It is given to you this time. Please have a look at the dividends." The middle-aged man is dressed in a Thompson suit, looks a bit mad, but his eyes are not angry but majestic, and his aura is amazing. If there were other people present, he would definitely recognize the identity of this middle-aged man. He is Orville Hong. In the entire Oris Hill, everyone knows that Orville Hong is the underground emperor here, and no one dares to mess with him. Orville Hong looked at Harley Joe, smiled approvingly, and said, "Harley Joe, I didn't expect you to be a good one, good, good." Harley Joe hurriedly said, "Fifth Lord, what about the troublesome Lady Wilson downstairs?" Orville Hong said indifferently, A bunch of old things, don't care about them. If they don't hear your words, I will arrange for the brethren to come over and give them some color to see." Harley Joe breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly said, "Thank you, Lord Orville." Orville Hong smiled and said, "In the future, just let go of this kind of business. As long as you can make money, I will help you with anything." Harley Joe was pleasantly surprised and humbled his face and said, "Thank you, Lord Orville. With your words, I will continue to work harder and we will make a fortune together." Harley Joe doesn't have a deep background in Oris Hill, but this personality has one advantage, that is, he has a good mind and can make crooked ways. He engaged in financial management and defrauded money. Knowing that he could not hold down such a large amount of money, he asked Orville for help, provided part of the illegal income to Orville, and sought asylum from Orville. Orville Hong calls the shots in Oris Hill, so he would naturally be safe and sound, and it was Orville Hong who was the backer, so he does not have any worries about the future, and the fraudulent business was flourishing. Just when Harley Joe was excited about going to the Orville line, his subordinates called and said in a convenient way, "Boss, something has happened. There is a guy who claims to be the young master of the White family, Fred White. He's demanding money immediately, otherwise, he will send you to prison. What about this?" Harley Joe frowned, and hurriedly said to Orville Hong, "Orville, there is a man who claims to be the Oris Hill King's family downstairs, who is leading the group of old men and old ladies to make trouble. He said that he only covered the sky in Oris Hill. Let us spit out all the money we collected, or we will be sent to prison." Harley Joe deliberately added fuel and jealousy in order to provoke Orville Hong. As he said, he bent down again and begged, "Fifth Lord, the White family has some power in our Oris Hill. If they hold on to me, I really can't afford to offend him. Please take action to help the little brother tide over this difficulty." "The King of Oris Hill?" Orville Hong snorted and said, "The little White family is not even a feather in my eyes. Even if he is in charge of the family, they have to bow down and salute when they see me. Now their junior dare to provoke me. When it comes to my head, I'm so tired and crooked." After all, Orville Hong put Harley Joe's filial bank card into his pocket, and said coldly, "Let's go, I want to see, what kind of lifeless thing he is. Orville Hong only eats money. Who's asking me to spit it out?" Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.